Okay, in this part of 2.8, we're going to talk about circles. So the first thing is we're not changing what a circle is. We just need to put a definition to it. So a circle is a set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point called the center. So we're going to set a center. We're going to figure out a distance, also called the radius. Okay. And then every point on the circle is that radius distance away from the center. Now, there's two formats that we're going to look at. The first one is what's called standard form for a circle. And the thing to note here is when we have a formula like this, where we have x minus h in a set of parentheses squared, that is going to do our right and left movement. Okay, so it's going to tell us if the center of our circle moved right or left. Now, the thing to note here is it does the opposite of what our brain instinctually wants to tell us to do. So if I see x plus 2, normally my brain would think plus 2 would go to the right. X plus 2 in a set of parentheses here actually moves it to the left 2 spots, okay? We also have the y minus k is also in a set of parentheses. So again, this is going to do the opposite of what we think. It does handle the up and the down. So something like y minus 3, we normally think that would go down 3. It actually goes up 3, okay? And then make sure that you recognize that it's r squared on the end. Certainly when you have like if it equals 81, 81 seems a little large for radius, but you have to know that that radius was actually 9. But when you see the smaller values like 4 and 9 and 16 and things like that, those can make it a little bit odd to see, because that could be a radius that we would see. Now, the general form is basically a multiplied out version. And when we actually get there, we're actually going to try and get our general form to look like our standard form when we get back to that point, okay? So the first thing that we're going to look at is they want us to write in standard form the equation of a circle whose center is at 0, negative 6, and whose radius is 10. Okay? So the first thing that I do that I kind of think about is I give myself a little grid space, and then I try and sort out where did that thing move. And so it was at 0, negative 6. So I know if that's going to be my center right there, this graph went down 6, okay? So if I'm going to put that in my format, okay, x, it didn't go right or left any. So I can put a minus 0 here. Now, we're certainly not going to keep it that way, but just for seeing what I'm doing, that's what happened. And then down 6, my brain normally says minus. That means it's actually plus 6 for that one, okay? And then over here, we have our radius squared, and our radius was 10. So the way we would probably see this would be they would just go x squared, because I don't need the minus 0 in there. We're going to leave this other part since they did want it in standard form. And then they're probably going to go ahead and square that number and say that it is 100. Okay. So that's kind of if they give me a center. Now, the next example is that they actually give us this equation, okay? And so we need to figure out. So taking a look at this, I see x plus 3. Again, my brain normally would think that that goes to the right 3. It actually moves left 3. So I'm going to make myself a little note that this went left 3. Y minus 1, I think minus is usually down. It's the opposite again. So this actually went up 1. Okay. Now, my radius, remember this is r squared over here, okay? So my radius is, because 2 gives me 4. Now, if we're going to go graph this, okay, first thing I'm going to do is my circles always start at the origin. So I'm going to go left 3 and up 1. So there's my center. And then to find my circle, I'm going to do a radius of 2. Now, I'm going to count in kind of the up, down, left, right directions. So I'm going to go over 2, up 2, left 2, and down 2. And then I'm going to play connect the dots with my stuff. Mine looks a little more oblong. But that's how I would create a circle. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about, okay, is if they give it to us in general form, okay, so there's that one that I just did, okay. If they give it to us in general form, we need to be able to get that back into standard, okay. So what we're going to do to start with is we're going to get our X's near each other, get our Y's near each other, and then we're going to move the plain number, the constant, over to the other side, okay. Now, we're going to do the complete the square process. Now, the complete the square process was covered in section 1.5, okay? So if you need to go back and check out that video, go check out that video. We're going to complete the square on the X's. We're also going to do a complete the square on the Y's. And we've got to make sure that when we do that tack on, similar to how we did it in when we worked with quadratics, we've got to make sure that we do that on both sides, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get our equation written down over here on our board. Okay. So again, the first thing that we're going to do here is I need to get my X's near each other. So I'm going to have my X squared and my 4X near each other. I'm going to get my Y's near each other. So I'm going to have my Y squared. And then the 1 over here is going to get moved over to the other side. So I'm just going to add that over to the other side. Now, I'm now going to do my complete the square process on my X's. So remember that you take the number in front of X and we're going to divide it by 2. We're then going to take that answer and we're going to square it. We happen to get 4 again. We're going to take the 2 pieces, the X squared and the 4X that we already had, and we're going to add this value that already came. And then this will factor nice and pretty to X plus 2 squared. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing, same 4 steps with the Y's. So I need the number in front of Y, so that's -4 over 2. That's going to give me a -2. I'm then going to square that. Okay. I'm going to take the Y squared and the -4Y, and I'm going to add that value that I just got. And then this will factor nice and pretty. Okay, here. Now, this is where I'm going to start to use some color. So I need this to look like what I have here in line 3. So I've got X squared and a 4X, but I need that plus 4. So I'm going to put it here and I'm going to use red just to show where I pulled that number from. Then I need Y squared minus 4Y. But again, I need it to look like line 3. So I need this plus 4 here. Now, math commandment. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So I'm going to show where I'm putting a red 4 on both sides and a green 4 on both sides. Now, this, we know factors nice and pretty. We already saw that from step 3 to step 4. This, we know factors nice and pretty. We already saw it over here in step 3 to step 4 over here. And then combining over here, we've got 1 plus 4 makes 5, plus another 4 makes 9. Okay. I can now determine, okay, that my graph went left 2. So thinking about my grid space here, it went left 2, up 2. So my center is at -2, 2. My radius, I've got 9 over here. I know that's r squared, so my radius is 3.